What's going on, everyone? Pardon my voice. Getting over a little bit of a cold, I think. But I wanted to record a video because I wanted to talk about the new resources. I don't know where I'm going, by the way. The new resources we got from the Holy Grail War. As you can see, the time in between each war is a lot longer than the martial arts tournament. As far as I'm aware, it's almost double the amount of time. So every 2 weeks we get the martial arts tournament. Almost every month or so we are getting the World Holy Grail War. This is pretty important because this means that your resources are that much more rare to acquire. So you do not want to miss out on predicting for the qualifier or the final stage if you can avoid it. What that also means is that we have limited amount of these ninja headbands. You know, for those of you that are Naruto enjoyers, I actually am recently watching through Boruto. Because I had to, okay? I keep seeing the stupid shorts for it. I had to. Even though I'm not a huge fan, I wasn't a huge fan when it first, I'm giving it a chance, okay? Anyways, that's all I can think about when I see these. And we got to figure out what to do with them, okay? Because there's so many different things that are really appealing in this shop. Really, really appealing. And by the way, if you haven't already, I would definitely recommend picking up as much dice as you need to put any bets on. This is going to be a really slow grind. It's one of the better ways to spend your gems, in my opinion, because there's one resource in here far above the others in value. And realistically, this video shouldn't even be that long, but we're going to be a little bit longer because I like talking and I like playing the game. And that is the Holy Grail relic. If anyone tells you to buy anything else, they're probably trolling you, or they're probably short-sighted a little bit. This thing is by far the most important thing. And realistically, you can't really purchase anything else outside of this. You can't. Because, as you can see, I put all my bets on the table. I ended up ranking reasonably well in the leaderboard, as you can see here on the leaderboard. I ended up getting, 470, which, isn't like too crazy, but it is amongst the top, some of the more top tier. So I got 5k headbands. You're probably not gonna get top 64 unless you're a mega whale. If you're a spender, you might be able to get 7,500 headbands, which would be pretty good. But even if you get that, you're probably still not going to be able to get enough to purchase all 5 of these optional relics and get more things, unless you've bet absolutely perfectly. If you bet absolutely perfectly, then maybe. I did not. I think I lost 3 of the 8 in the qualifier rounds and 3 of the 8 of the finals. So you could get a good amount more headbands, and maybe you have a little bit of extra, which I'll talk about kind of what you should buy after that. But by far, the number one is the Holy Grail optional relic. And there's a very clear reason for this. And I talked about the best relics in my previous video, but in the little relic tab here, if we were to jump over, oh my gosh, I'm clicking on everything but the relic tab. Just goes to show you how important this tab is, I suppose. There are a couple in here that give you the final skill damage. And for those of you that don't understand how the multipliers work in this game, basically skill damage, when you get skill damage percentage increase and things like that, it's pretty good, right? Because it works, but it's additive. It works with all your different skill damage based builds, but it's additive. When you have final skill damage, it's like a final multiplier in all of those other multipliers. That's what makes it so important. So this straight up for some builds is like 3, 4, 5% damage increase. Not quite 5% because it never will be the total amount, but 3 to 4% damage increase just straight up. Straight up. That's insane. You're never going to be able to get that for any other build, period. Or any other like piece of gear or anything like that in just one upgrade, unless you're doing like double S upgrades or something like that. So the fact that it's coming from a relic or an artifact or a collectible or something like that is insane. Absolutely insane. That said, there's a lot of baits on here, right? We talked about some of them, like, for example, the Mask of Tutankhamun, which was really solid for the dagger-based builds. However, it gives you global attack percentage. The global attack percentage is so much weaker for final skill damage that even for you Whisperer users, you should not be going for this first. You should be going for the final skill damage first. And the reason that is because in terms of Whisper, all those daggers count as skill damage. And then some of those daggers, well, they amp poison and fire, and you have flame waves and all that stuff. All that's, really, really focused. Some of it's dots, some of it's skill, but it's a lot of skill damage from the Whisper. So getting the 5% final skill damage is going to ramp your build up more than even the meant for Whisperer relic. So all of your resources should be trying to prioritize at least unlocking all copies of the final skill damage. And you can see here, if I go into my backpack, I've already kind of started my process. I'm going to use all 30 of here just to show you what I mean. I'm going to get the Sword of Gujian because it's going to be the most important one for me, at least. Since I am a Sky Splitter user, I may as well get the relic that ends up giving me some sword chi. Just going to be slightly more valuable, right? But this gives me final skill damage. That's really what I care about. I don't care about the equipment effect at all. This equipment effect is going to be solid. It's not going to be bad at all. It's going to be more important for PvP, but I don't really care about PvP. In PvE, it's going to be okay. It's not going to be anything too crazy because 2 sword cheese doesn't actually do anything for the actual total damage of my build. But the 5% final skill damage is what I'm going for. So any of the other ones, and it's really the utility ones, like the Beyond Zhong gives you the final normal damage. The Mona Lisa also does the same thing. The Moe statues is going to be another one that you really, really want. And the other ones that you can see, Holy Grail also gives you the final skill damage. So the Statue of Easter Island, the Sword of Gojian, the Holy Grail, we talked about this. These are the final skill damage. This is the ones you want. This is what you should be spending all of your ninja headbands on. Prioritizing unlocking them. As soon as you get one of them, you move on to the next. Why? Because when you upgrade it, you get 1% final skill damage. When you get a brand new one, you get 5% final skill damage. The difference in that is incredible. So at least unlock all the final skill damage ones. And then afterwards, well, you can get some more upgrades into each one of them. As for the set effect, you can see some of them give you some pretty good stuff. Like if you were to get the set of these 3, you get 4% final damage reduction. Final damage reduction is really not that great in PvE. There's a cap to all of that stuff. And so you really need to be in a spot where you're like PvPing or you're pretty early on in the build to get the 4% final damage reduction actually get some value for you. So you could kind of ignore that. So I wouldn't even worry about the set effects. As for if you are one of those players that have guessed perfectly, okay, absolutely perfectly, and you also ranked decently high, I would secondarily go for the secret treasure keys. That would be my second option. My third option would be go for the up wish letters. And this one's pretty close. I think the up wish letters have gotten significantly more valuable. I'm about to put a full video on that very soon. The secret treasure keys give you access to the relics that you don't have. And there's actually a lot of good relics that we now have in the game, right? It's a pure luck in a lot of these cases, but a lot of these relics will give you, 2% global HP or, some random, like these ones I have 2.5% HP, 2.5% basic attack damage. The legendary ones are a little bit more important. And some of them, even if you happen to get lucky, will give you actual effects, which can be very powerful. So I would prioritize that because it's one of the only ways you can actually get those keys, right? And we won't be able to actually acquire these from any other way. So it makes sense to prioritize the one store that allows you access to those keys to focus on them because these relics are pretty good and it's one of the few ways we can get them. Now I'm expecting the future events to also include, for example, in the calendar here, we have the Fisherman Journey. I'm expecting to see some of those relic keys in that event. I'm expecting it. And that's because, well, we saw the gem keys also show up at the same time. So yeah, definitely go for the relic keys if you've already purchased all 5 of the selectable fragment relics. It's going to be the number one most important thing. Again, anyone telling you anything else is not really paying attention to the overall value of your account. Yes, it takes some time. Realistically, it'll take 2 iterations of this for most people. Now, 2 iterations is on average. It could take less if you miss some of those bets more so, and you don't rank very highly. It could take less, right? I was very close to being able to unlock all 5 of mine. I was 5K ninja headbands away and for me to get my 5. So, it really depends on kind of how well you do at guessing, how well you place and all that stuff. But in general, you're only going to be able to get the Holy Grail, once every, I honestly like 1.5 iterations is probably a better average, which means every 3 Holy Grails, you get 2 relics, which is going to be pretty good. And that's final skill damage, which is incredible. Even for those of you that are non-big 3 builds, so Whisperer, Sky Splitter, and your Reaper Staff, you still want to go for the Holy Grail. Why? Because you can get the Mona Lisa and the Beyond Zhong, which is a normal attack damage based increase. So if you're a Heelless Warblade user, that's what you want to go for. If you're a counterattack based build, you're probably struggling anyways in PvE, so just do whatever you want. So just a couple of my thoughts, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all for the next one.